Hello guys and welcome back to another scouting episode, and boy have I got a treat for you, because today we're going to be looking at Chelsea's new rising prodigy Josh Acheampong. Be looking at his strengths, weaknesses, and I'll let you decide if he's ready for senior football. So let's start by talking about where he plays on the football pitch. So he's predominantly came through the ranks as a right back, but he's also featured as a right centre back as well, aiding his versatility to Chelsea. He looks equally as comfortable in both positions. Now, the first thing I want to mention is he's got a brilliant head on his shoulders. He's always shown great attitude. He has a presence on the football pitch, and he likes to overwhelm opponents because he's extremely athletic. He stands at 6'1". He's quite big and he's got really good attributes for a player of his age. Now, when it comes to defending, Acheampong's more of a harrier, a presser. He's extremely aggressive and constantly getting in the opponent's face, using aggression, determination to win back possession. Now, to add to that aggression, he's extremely quick, especially over the first couple of meters. He's got long strides that allow him to eat up the ground, so his acceleration and his sprint speed is very admirable for a player of his age. Very much consider Acheampong as your modern day footballer. He's got the speed, the athleticism to support attacks without neglecting his defensive duties. So like I mentioned just earlier, he's an active defender. He prefers to close a space before jockeying the opponent, and that's just forcing them into making a decision. And that's where he uses a technique that's used by many defenders called a step tackle to win back possession. So he's extremely clever in how he defends. He's very rarely seen going to ground in a desperate attempt to win back possession. Instead, his impressive anticipation ensures that he spots moments of when to engage and uses a step tackle, like I mentioned earlier, to win back possession. He also uses this technique when he's one-on-one defending, so you'll adopt a low body position, waiting for the right moment just to use that step tackle to either poke the ball away or just come away with the ball. But when defending one-on-one, if an opponent does manage to push the ball past him, he prefers to use his long stride to lunge back and get a tackle over just going to ground and trying to win the ball back. So let's talk about his one-on-one defending, especially in wider areas, for a second, because Acheampong prefers to show the opponent around the outside and use his body to maneuver the attacker off the ball. One thing that he does do that he just needs to compose himself a little, he attempts to anticipate the opponent always going on the outside. In doing this, his body shape is slightly off balance. Therefore, he leaves too much space on the inside for the opponent to dart past him and exploit. So to prevent that happening, he needs to stand off a little bit more, because quick opponents can eliminate him just with one touch by going on the inside. So if he's making that step into the Premier League, this is something that he's going to have to learn. It's not a major weakness because it can easily be perfected. Now, what he is very good at, he's so skilled at just poking possession away when an opponent tries to go on the outside, using his good upper body strength to move his opponent off the ball. Now, his defending style changes depending on whether he's defending against longer balls or short passes into the forward's feet. Under longer balls, this is where you'll see him get touch tight with his marker and try and battle him and use his physical attributes to maneuver his opponent out the way so he can then win the duel. Now, when the ball is played along the ground to a winger's feet, this is where he tries to snap the ball on their first touch. You'll look to use his athleticism, his acceleration, reduce the distance, so then he can just snap the ball on their first touch. This is a positive and a negative, because the positive is you prevent the opposition getting the ball under control, so then he can make a decision in a split second, and really you're imposing yourself on the opposition, so he hasn't got a second to think. The negative is if the opposition does get the ball under control, you're then reluctant and you're going in one direction. It's very difficult to then change your line of direction. So he can easily just move past you on his first touch. So unless you get the timing absolutely spot on, this is very, very risky. Now, what Acheampong is very good at when defending is reading the game. He spots a pass coming and he often stops the ball before it reaches the opponent it's meant for. What I absolutely love about Acheampong is he's really intelligent footballer. His tackling and his adaptation to where he's positioned on the pitch is very impressive. Now, further up the field, he takes more risks in his tackling. He's a lot more front-footed, aggressive, but closer to his own penalty area. He applies the same initial pressure, so you'll always look to reduce the distance between him and the opponent, but he takes less risks in his tackle. Therefore, he reduces the frequency of him lunging in to make a tackle and looks to make blocks and interceptions rather than tackles when he's closer to his own box. This level of intelligence you very rarely see when it comes to young footballers. And the fact that Acheampong's already got that is a massive, massive asset. So when it comes to defending and physical attributes, I definitely think he's got them well suited to senior football already. And it wouldn't be surprising to see him make a lot more appearances in Europe, in the Europa Conference League. So I fully expect that to happen because he's shown very, very positive sides defensively with the under-21s. Now let's talk about technically in possession and offensively. And I mean this when I say it, he's one of the most technically gifted footballers. Like the way he strikes the ball, it's with elegance. It reminds us of Trent Alexander-Arnold when he's switching the play to the opposition, to the opposing winger. He's got that gift that he's able to do that. So let's talk about his passing. Well, he's got an expansive passing range and he's so calm and capable in possession. What I like about him, he's already shown good signs of good decision making, when to go long, when to combine in short spaces. He's extremely brave and positive in possession. What I'm saying is he can combine with a central midfielder or a winger with short passes, but his long range passing is so accurate that he can play killer ball all the way from right back. So he's got the ability to curve a ball into space for his right winger to run onto down the channel, but he's also just as dangerous when switching the ball from left to the left wing for the likes of Tyreek George with a long diagonal ball over the opposition right back. Now, what I have liked about him, and I know this is going to be asked upon us, that can he invert? Well, more recently, he's actually shown great signs of moving into central positions. And this is where his long ball deliveries become very, very valuable because he's got the ability to lift the ball over the top for the forward to chase onto. His way to pass is extremely beautiful. Now, speaking of can he invert? Well, at the Under-17s World Cup when he was representing England, England wanted their wingers to get high and wide. Acheampong acknowledged this, and instead of overlapping his wingers, he was often seen underlapping his wingers in those more central positions. So I've got no doubt in my mind that he can learn that role. Obviously, it's going to be incredibly raw at first, but there's no doubt in his technical ability, his awareness to learn that role going forward. Now, let's talk about him when he's crossing or creating, just more offensively. Well, he's actually really good at finding himself space to cross the ball. Now, he often does this by finding short combinations with central midfielders, and that's where he's able to bypass the first line of press. Now, one thing I will say, he's quick enough to be regularly in good positions to cross the ball. But one thing that does suffer when he's running at speed is his crossing technique. He's far less effective when he's moving with the ball and trying to cross. He has a lot more success when he's in almost like a static-like position and more composed. So what I'm saying is when he's crossing the ball, he has far more success when he's crossing the ball with a higher trajectory and less pace on it. However, the flip side of this is much easier for the opponents to defend against rather than a cross that is whipped in with pace. Now, what makes Acheampong's crossing so dangerous is how early he puts crosses in when he receives the ball. I would like to see him do this a lot more. At the Under-17s World Cup, Acheampong was averaging 0.5 crosses per 90 with a success rate of 18%. With a player of his quality and technique and vision, this is something that's going to have to improve. I've got no doubt he's got the ability, because we've seen it when he's hitting those diagonal balls over the top, or when he's looking to combine with teammates in short distances. But he just needs to compose himself a lot more, maybe get his head up and look for a body in the box rather than just sending a hopeful cross into the penalty area. Now, what I do like about him from an attacking output is how he moves with the ball. Now, he's not the type of player to dribble like a Lionel Messi, but he can weave in and out of players, and he uses a sharp and almost like a heavier touch into space before accelerating around them and putting the back burners on. His long limbs and power allow him to open his stride and reach top speed extremely quickly. Now, due to his willingness to support attacks, he often finds himself in advanced positions when Chelsea lose a ball. So he's regularly involved in high pressing, and he does it with good enthusiasm, good commitment, and selects an angle of approach well to cut off pattern lanes. And he really shows a good understanding of the game dynamics. Acheampong is unquestionably a special talent with an extremely bright future, and it's the case with many players at Chelsea Academy at the moment, but Acheampong is definitely worth getting excited about. There you go, guys. There is the end of the episode, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've tried to blend in the weaknesses and the strengths together. So if you've enjoyed this sort of take and we're delivering it, please let us know in the comments. But once again, I just want to say thank you very much for watching.